I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
All right,
You're fine.
Let's stand for prayer and then we'll have the pledge. Praise God. Our Heavenly Father, as we quiet our hearts and come before you, we want to thank you again for your many blessings. And Heavenly Father, we ask that you would be with each of us. Give us the knowledge and wisdom, Lord, that we can make the best decisions here for our county. Look at this budget, Lord, and come up with what is fair and right. We just ask for your guidance in that. Now, Lord, be with our employees, watch over and keep us all in the palm of your hand. That our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dutch, I'm gonna put your stuff right here in your drawer.
Okay, that works. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right, so Lauren, where we at?
Okay, well, I don't know, I mean, in looking over, okay, the reason for today's special work session was on the larger spreadsheet, when I had previous actual carryovers, the public utilities has a separate line item. And of course, we had the public utilities under actual tax collection. But then when I get the number from the assessor, I put it, it's included in the assessor's total. And I was to zero that column out and it was not zeroed out. So that was 390,000 that we have to adjust. Whether we increase the carryover and, the sheet that I gave you, has our revenues and expenditures for 23, revenues and expenditures for 24, which would show if we took our current cash balance of the 3.2 with an estimated revenue and estimated expenditure, we could possibly increase that carryover number from 1.2 to 1.5. But if everybody looked over some line items, if there's some revenues or expenditures that we want to adjust, and that's where we're at. I don't know what, Dutch, did you come up with anything on your end?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I couldn't really find anything. We've cut so much already. Other than maybe a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there, but nothing anywhere close to the 390,000 we need.
So Lauren and I did discuss revenues some this morning, and it's up to you all, but like, franchise agreements, 348, her and I agreed we could probably bring that up to like 125 and be safe, because I think our lowest has been in the 140s. So that's another 25,000 if you guys don't have a problem with that.
Where's that? What is it?
348 on your revenue sheet. That sheet, right?
This one,
Yes.
348.
So the next page, almost down at the bottom, 348 was 155 last year, but every year it's dropped about about 10,000. So last year was 140. This year is probably going to be 130. So probably guesstimating one next year. You say 125 as opposed to 120.
Oh, 120 is that we agreed on, that's
No,
fine.
I mean we just were throwing it out there.
I think 120 or 125 would be fine.
You got 100,000.
Right,
Right.
that's what we're saying.
But
You wanna up it to 125?
we could probably up it up to 125 then. And Luke's gonna check on some
At
of
one
those
time.
franchise too.
Gosh, back in 2018, it was 156.
Yeah,
So the highest was in
21,
21.
it's
Those-
163.
Those agreements are with cable companies, so the only thing I can come up with is as cable consumers chip drops, the level of fee they're required to pay also decreases.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are jumping with the Starlink.
Right, and
Yeah.
yeah, they're just using different.
I'm gonna tell you guys something. I don't know if you know this or not, if you've been keeping up with any of the bills. And I can't remember if it's Senate bill or House bill. If it passes, you haven't seen nothing yet. They're gonna start upping the, like if somebody's, what do they call that, 65 years?
You're talking about West Virginia or
Homestead.
federal?
West Virginia,
Homestead
yeah.
exemption.
homestead exemption. That's gonna be up. And that's gonna
That
hurt.
had been talked about.
That is in the house.
That's in the House now.
Yeah, it's gonna
I
hurt
think
us.
it passed the Senate.
Hardy County, I talked to Dave Dave Workman, and Dave said it's gonna hit them probably for $500,000. This will
The
be good.
exemption's only going up by $10,000 over the next 2 years.
What's that?
The exemption's just going up to a $40,000 versus a 30.
Do you realize what they could do?
$10,000 off appraised value on people.
Well, I'm just telling you what Dave said he got into the theirs to check. They're a small county, so it's gonna cost them around $500,000.
Probably need to have Joe look at some of that. How, are they getting a good support on that?
I don't know.
I know it's
I thought it
been
passed the
mentioned.
Senate, but,
Okay, well, I know it's been mentioned before, and usually a bill goes through several years.
okay.
Yeah,
Jason, I
so-
think you're one line by line, Jason, what'd you?
The only, just the two, one, we had just approved that 6,000 for, Burlington Hall, and then I should have asked AJ.
it's
did
not
you
burning
think about
down home, it's
Not
Sarah's house.
Sarah's house.
That's completely different.
That's under coal.
That's a
Yes.
coal, but it's still an item that's being expenditure. And then the other one was the rent to the health department. And I totally just didn't even think of it until just now,
Oh,
but yeah. Those are the only two, but again, they're only a couple thousand that you're looking at, so,
Rent to the visitor bureau, but again, that's.
oh yeah.
Dutch, did you have a chance to talk to, her name slipped my mind, but
Leanne,
Leanne about the $9,000?
Yeah, that goes to help cover, their rent. So the chamber has made the agreement with Potomac State for the rent on that building. And then, CVB covers half the rent and utilities and expenses. And they're paying out close to $9,000 a year. It might be a hair over in that to cover the rent and utilities and everything for that building.
Yeah, no, I do
So I'll
that.
talk to,
Okay,
But they don't, college doesn't own it anymore.
no, they do. It's not all officially.
Well,
And even when it does,
yeah,
it's still charging rent at the same rate.
yeah, Kevin said he's going to honor the agreement, the contract, because it was a 10-year agreement or something like that with Potomac State. Kevin said that he was planning on continuing that agreement, and then once they got the old hospital set up where they had some other rent and revenue coming in, then they may consider waiving all that for the chamber and for the CVB. But when they first get in there, they're going to have to continue doing that because they're not going to have any money coming in for a while.
What's CBB?
Provision Visitors Bureau.
Um,
The only other thing under revenue that I talked to Lauren about this morning was that we've had quite a few salary things that we don't usually put under revenue. But, the Supreme Court rent, did you adjust that?
not until they,
Okay, our Supreme Court rent, we've got it at. Sorry, I'm not trying to make all this up in revenue, but I'm also like, just trying to look to make sure we're.
46, no, 49. What was it, 49 or 26?
It's 49.
49.
Yeah, where is it on here?
340020, so on the second page,
Yeah.
just right
you got-
above franchise.
You got 40 on there now.
Yeah, so he said we're guaranteed 49, so just
Yeah.
wanna put 49 there. Put another 9,000 in Supreme Court rent.
And then the only other thing I talked to her about was. Eileen, well, we can talk about 911 too. I've been looking at 911's budget to try to see if we can just go ahead and take 50% of salary and benefits of Eileen and I. Out of 911's budget directly. And the answer is yes-ish. To take those two salaries out puts 911 at an approximately $98,000 deficit. But if the county gave us a contribution of 50,000,
Wait, are you doing half salary or full salary out of 911?
What line have you?
half plus Eileen's portion and half of all benefits. Cause Eileen gets 12,900 out of 911 now. So half of what the county pays and that 12.9 for Eileen. And then half of my salary and then half of all of our benefits. That's what I was looking at. You're looking at me confused, what am I?
Well, the 12,000 that you're reimbursing is already included in her salary. So if we were doing that, it'd be reimbursing it twice.
No, so I did her salary minus the 12,000 that 911 pays. I divided that by 2. And then I added that 12,000 back, because if we didn't do that, the county's gonna end up paying for a portion of her raise that is supposed to be 911's responsibility. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
I don't.
We talked about that
I'm like
before. Yeah.
Cause Eileen's total salary, I wanna say is like,
4878.
yeah, 48. So $12,000 of that comes from 911 now.
Okay,
So. You take 12,000, the county,
the county.
the county invoices 911,
Okay,
and then 911 pays that at the end of the year.
so then that money we could count as revenue back from invoice 911.
Well, no, well, we're talking 2 different things here.
Okay,
So, long story short, I have Eileen being paid 31,000 out of 911. And myself being paid 43,680 out of 911, and then all of our benefits, half of. And that is a total cost of $100,591.62. So if the county did a $50,000 contribution to 911, 911 would be picking up a substantial portion of our salaries that we're not paying now. No one's with me, are you?
and that would,
My question is,
I'm
if
sorry,
we
it's
make a
all-
contribution to you for 50,000, why don't we just leave it like it is? How much are we gonna save with making that?
About 50.
Yeah.
We
Because
make,
we're taking $100,000 of cost, and you're just giving us 50 of it back.
and would that enable you to then move your retirement?
It would, yes.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, because and truly, don't think I'm doing this to be selfish about the retirement, because that's not why I looked at it. When we started talking about the 390, because I
Right.
wasn't gonna recommend this at all,
Right.
because this does put 911 in a much different position than we've ever been in.
Just to clarify, so the pay that was under emergency services, 711,
Yes,
is all coming out of 911. I mean, we're gonna switch you to 712, which is 911.
yes, that's what I'm talking about. Now, with that being said, though, it puts 911 at a bit of a deficit. Now, 911 doesn't use, like, we don't ever put in our revenue an unassigned fund balance, but we have one year over year. So if we do this, there's not a guarantee that in 2 years, I'm not gonna say like, we either have to up the contribution or move my salary or something like that. But it's definitely something I don't know until we try.
Does this affect the EMPG grant at all if you're not under OEM? 711.
You know, that was one of the things I thought about in the shower last night, and I forgot to think about it today.
Okay, what's the OMG?
So-
EMPG,
Oh,
emergency.
Management Performance Grant. So Eileen and I's salaries are already partially paid by grants.
Okay,
The county gets about $38,000.
and the rest goes to 911.
No, it's just a partial reimbursement.
Okay.
Yeah.
For
it's just-
the OEM side of it, the Office of Emergency
Okay.
Management.
Right now, you all don't get anything from 911. The only reason you get 12,000 for Eileen is because I wanted to increase her salary and we did it through 911 for her increase duty. So let me look and see, Lauren. Oh.
It
Man, that all-
didn't hit me until I just looked down, I was like, okay.
And you know, I did think about that and then forgot to think about it while I had paper in front of me.
So there's quite a stipulation with that grant.
Well, I know that there are quite a few.
Does it have to, well, yeah, I understand you both have, in order to qualify for the 911 retirement, you have to both go.
Yes. And I was trying to look to see, now we have to do the application online, so I don't even have a copy of the most recent.
Okay.
application.
Well, wait a minute, what if we take you out of 417? Leave half of it in 7-Eleven and the other half 911. You wouldn't be under 417 at all, under admin.
Uh.
Half would be OEM and half would be 911. But then they would only cover half of the half.
Well, so the thing is, E EMPG covers more than just my salary, so like. We submit power bills, cell phone bills, internet, all of those things. That's why I was trying to look to see what our expenses are without salaries. But they don't ever even ask for the salary source. The only thing they ever get is
What
the
you're-
letter you do that says what we are paid. Can we talk about some other stuff while I mull on this and we'll come back to it, because I hate to take up this whole,
But
Let me
it's gonna be a
get through that.
significant saving or increase in revenue.
yeah, well, yeah, it'll definitely make an impact.
Yeah,
The only other place that Luke and I were talking about, he was under the salary reimbursements, the 374, that was just the pro officers. The money from the Development Authority, the 109,000, the money from opioid, we're looking at 70,000 for opioid, up to 80, but right now, if it's only half the salaries, it's only gonna be close to 70.
where's the opioid?
Under 380,
Yeah, contributions.
contributions from other entities, that 374.
Yeah,
And then the pros, currently they don't have a fourth officer, if they don't have a fourth officer, that is gonna affect how much we receive as well. He also mentioned, adding in the parks and recs, there's farmland, salary reimbursements, and Eileen's, reimbursement,
And Jill with Megan.
and Jill.
So you're talking like, with all of those, you're talking about another $60,000 in salary reimbursements.
Because
Close to that,
parks-
that's very random.
Which is,
Cody's raise is 5, plus we usually do 10, so it's at least 15.
I think you do 20,
But it's not in the budget, it's revenue.
I know.
you
And
said,
then Megan is
wait,
24.
Cody was
5.
5, Jimmy's 2, so that's 7 for park.
Oh, and then don't you bill 10 every year too?
We haven't
Okay, well then just do 7.
7.
And then Megan is that part-time receptionist you all hired.
And
Half
that,
of her comes from AVAL, that's 24,000. I looked
well,
at.
now wait a minute, because with benefit, she's not doing insurance,
Oh, okay. I just looked at the salary sheet.
so that's 17.5.
Okay,
Let's do 17. Eileen's how much?
and right now it's 12.9.
12.9.
And how much is it?
Right now it's not. I think it's currently 12.
Farmland is 20.
Now, what does farmland do?
We have an employee that,
That's what she's saying, they
that's-
give back 20.
that's 56,000. We have an employee that covers, Hampshire and mineral for the farmland preservation board.
Okay.
And, when I have a deed recorded in my office, $2.20 of the transfer stamp goes to farmland.
Okay.
And then they use that to buy easements, to preserve farmland. And, so she splits her salary and she is on our payroll and then they reimburse us.
And what, okay, I just turned right to it, Allison, I guess.
Yes, it's Allison's.
So if we did add. We did add that, we could jump that up to, 430 or, and I'm just a little nervous about putting all of our, because as I was mentioning to Luke. Okay, so if we put everything in that and then some of our other revenues are short, we know we are getting these salary reimbursements. And if we list the full thing here, and let's say we don't get as much in video lottery, or we don't get as much in wine and liquor, there's no guarantee on that kind of stuff. So, I mean, we can up it.
Well, and the only reason I was looking at this is because when I was going through the budget yesterday and today, I was looking at where our costs have increased and where our revenue has or has not. And a lot of our cost increases are under expenditures, but there's a revenue that counteracts it. For
Right.
example, salaries, because the Eileen thing is new, because it used to be like $4,000, now it's 12. The Cody thing is new, that's $5,000.
Yeah,
Megan is new, and I was like, as I was trying to think about those
those
expenses,
were expenditures that we had, but we didn't count it into the revenue.
right?
Yeah,
And that's, but Lauren also has a valid point for sure that if other revenues don't come in, those being shortfalls are guaranteed, but
right.
at the same time, there's gotta be a tipping point of where you have to put some of these revenues in when we're doing all these. This, well, especially since I've been here, we've really started like people's salaries coming from 85 places.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
So do we wanna up that to 4 or 425 or 430 or?
I think putting in 425 is safe.
Sorry, which line was that again? Sorry. The
380.
380.
The 425.
So that was the
Yeah.
line item 380 contributions, it was, we upped it to 374, and now we're upping it to 425.
Based off of what you just calculated on those. I'm okay with that one. Where does that put us at?
Let's double check from here.
Six.
Okay.
Nowhere near close enough.
We just got
46.
25.
9. And 25. 46, 9, 25.
Ricky got logged out of Oasis.
There's a 70,000 for the opioid money, that was actually for the officer at the middle school, half the salary at the middle school, not the high school. So if we don't have a pro officer, then we're only looking at half of that.
But we still have that pro officer budgeted under expenditures though, right?
Yeah, but the revenue, we're guesstimating half of 2 officers would be 70,000. But if there's only 1 officer at the middle school, then they're only gonna cover half of that. Is that correct, Dutch? You're only not doing the high schools, you're only doing the middle schools.
Yeah, that's right.
So it takes us,
Yeah, I know, that's right.
So that takes down to 35.
that gives us.
Other than that, high school officer is going down to the middle school on certain days. He's back and forth. They've been having him going back and forth.
And yes, but is that sufficient enough for you to cover half of his salary? The opioid first committee? I mean, does that meet your qualification?
That'd be fine for us because he's down there doing prevention education and stuff. So I don't think he doesn't have the DARE program. I don't think he has a DARE program in there like Chris had it, but
They don't have any there.
he is down there working with the kids.
Okay, if the opioid committee's okay with the qualifications, then we're okay there.
They don't have a deer.
So that, how much does that add, that revenue?
Oh, that was the 70,000 had included, but then I just realized, wait a minute, because I was double checking that I didn't have in that 200,000 4 officers. I did that as just the 3 officers. So that would help.
I'm gonna call the state office about the salary source and if it matters.
Okay, so that added,
That's a total of 85,000 that's added to revenue so far that I've got. You might have a different number.
so I don't think, is there anything else that we talked about cutting or adding?
The general school reimbursement, what's that for there? 394.
At the December 31st, anything that's left in the Justice Fund General School, zero out with the general county. So it varies based on what's the balance in there.
Yeah, okay.
So how,
What was it? What was the other line item we changed on revenues?
Um,
so
380.
Supreme Court rent, we upped it from 40 to 49. That's 340,020. you get that one?
I'm working on it. There it is.
Okay,
That gives us
You upped it to,
49.
49.
okay,
Then line item 348. Just a couple down from their franchise agreements,
yeah,
from 100 to 125. Then
okay,
380 contributions from 374 to 425. That gives us an 85,000 in extra revenue.
yeah. Okay,
So that means our carryover would have to be $1,505,000 or 505.
You like that in the jail.
1,500. So they had it at, 1,590,000 in our carryover,
And what's the new number?
1,505,000.
Well, and I said to Lauren this morning, like, obviously you all can cut my extra travel and stuff out. And if we
Well, I
have
was
additional care, if we do that, but you're talking about $4,000 or $3,000, right? Like,
You're not looking at that much. Where's that? What did I see?
that's what I think. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get all state off it. Hey, Sandy. I don't-
So that's, sorry, Lauren, that carryover is less than what we had already projected the first
Yeah.
time.
No, we had 1.2.
Our salary.
1,250,000.
Does not matter, right, as long as it's from the county, like, doesn't Paul get paid?
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
Sure.
I would like to get that 5,000 out of carryover and add it to something down below, because then we can just put 1.5 and not have that 5,000 in that carryover. We could probably up it in.
Let me look.
Well, that's, I didn't want you to answer. I'm just considering.
County clerk.
No, we're having some.
Well, how about down payment in lieu of tax?
No, that was a federal thing. We won't.
Well, before, it usually runs around 14,000. We have it at 12,
Wait, which one are you at? I thought you were looking at 425.
11, 311. We put 2,000 there, put it at 14.
Remember, because it was original 12 and then it went up and it seems like it's decreasing again.
Okay,
I don't think I'd want to jump it up to 4.5 there.
Okay, well, that's what I was trying to know.
If we do hotel occupancy, then we have that just balances with the,
So, okay, well, that's what, I was just trying to get some.
so let me ask you this, federal grant,
Remember that there were some other.
It's oil.
what line is that?
306. For whatever reason, last 2 years was pretty nice to us. But then with everything going on, how would that affect the overall gas and oil?
Because the gas prices gone down, we would get less, right?
Yeah, I mean, last year was 201, we budgeted 50.
Really?
I'm gonna up that to 65.
65, that would,
So line,
Are we safe at that?
I think 306. 306, we're gonna up that from 60 to 65. And then our carryover will be 1.5.
how do you feel about that, Dutch?
yeah, I got that.
Okay, so we're not changing any of our expenditure lines then, right?
Yes.
Doesn't sound like it.
Okay. I will express to the other elected officials that, well, if they don't need it, don't buy it, because our carryover and, we'll have to just go from there.
Can we do? Sandy doesn't think it matters. Nick Allen didn't answer, but. I'm thinking if we did a quarter of Eileen's out of OES, a quarter out of admin, and the same with me. We're going to be where we need to be.
So a quarter out of OES, a quarter out of admin, and half then would be
Out of
911. Okay, that's for both of you.
Yes. And then for you all, that doesn't matter,
Right.
but it'll still be the,
But it gets you where you need to be as far as.
Right.
My concerns for your retirement.
and everybody understanding in their brain that I might come back next year and say like, we're gonna have to make an addition, like, we've gotta make an adjustment.
Well, we'll have a better understanding of where our revenues and expenditures are next year, just with this project, and, you know, there's a lot of costs that we're gonna have between now and July 1.
Right.
Cause all this finalizing the courthouse and the judge's suite and all that stuff's gonna.
Yeah, they might have to put another wall, fake wall in the judges, the one corporate. Because of the elevator noise.
Oh, yeah. Well, and there are some things I need to look at on that, like to see how much contingency we have left and things, but,
So we just line item 603, we bumped it up to 65.
Yeah.
And that way we just make a carryover 1.5.
okay,
I didn't want that 5,000 floating on the carryover.
okay.
It was bothering me. It's an odd number.
So then you got line item 340, we bumped that up to 49. Line item 348, we bumped up to 125.
Okay, I'm not even gonna make the adjustments, it's,
Okay, well, then the last line item we made 380 under contributions, went from 374 to 425.
So that does leave our ending budget at $8,366,002. $2, don't write it down. Yeah, $2.
well, you'll just have to make the salary adjustments, which will be another $50,000, well, $100,000 plus. But there'll be a $50,000.
Right, okay.
We're all in agreement on that, that Eileen and I, half our salaries will move over and then.
Yeah.
The county will give
Make a motion
911 a
for that.
$50,000 contribution annually.
Do we need-
Well, we didn't put in the $50,000 contribution though.
Yes.
So that would take us down to 1.450.
Yeah, so we'll have to we'll adjust the carryover based on, so county contribution, county commission contribution is 50,000, what you're giving in 911.
What line is that one? Sorry.
It wouldn't even be on there right now.
Well, it's, yes, 4015 on your expenditures,
Expense.
expenditure, it would be on your first sheet. 4015 6600, we'll have to add 50,000 as a county commission contribution.
Right.
Actually, wait a minute. We could put that under. We should put that under 712. Seven twelve isn't even on here.
Oh, right, but 001.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, so yeah, I would have to add a line item, after 711, it will be 001, 712. Whether it be 56600 or 6. It's 56600 or 6700, and we'll add the 50,000,
What's it,
There.
what's that line gonna be?
001, or.
Yes,
It would be
001
contribution. Guess we could say
How much money are you?
50,000.
50,000. Okay. Are there any other expenditures to consider?
as far as the 911 payout, can you start doing that May 1st?
Which,
Like, starting to
The
pay half of
split?
Eileen and my salary?
Do we need to make a motion for that?
yeah, we should probably put that on the agenda for Tuesday.
I'll
Um,
file to email, so.
Agenda, I forgot to put the
Yeah.
shooter hearing. We have an estate hearing,
What time is it, 6?
6.
I thought that's over.
No,
Not sure.
Do we need to have a deputy here?
I already spoke to them though.
Okay.
Okay, so that'll add. Okay, 2, 66, 2. So then our budget will be $8,416,002. And so we just balance that carryover,
You said $2?
that $2, yeah, on expenditures now. I almost wanna knock $2 off of one of my things just to make it.
Well, this isn't even enough money to sponsor a NASCAR.
$8 million.
I do have a couple.
Just put your stick on.
I'll have budget revisions for the first meeting in April, as we're doing some cleanup, there's some things that needs to be moved around too. But I didn't have it on the agenda for Tuesday, nor will I have time to have it ready for Tuesday. So I will have it ready for the first meeting in April. Okay, so the only expenditure we changed was a $50,000 contribution to 911. And that's because I'm going to adjust the salaries, which actually the salaries will be adjusted here too. That's gonna change everything then, so. It's gonna change the budget for 417 and the budget for 711. And so that's gonna change our ending. Are you guys okay with those adjustments? That without having to have another meeting before Tuesday. Tuesday, the budget has to be approved. Finale.
Is it, are we pretty good right now?
Yeah, if we have to make those adjustments, it's gonna affect several areas of the expenditures. Our final budget is gonna be different. So I need to adjust salary.
On Tuesday, I know it'll be finalized, but will we be able to go through it one last time on Tuesday? Just to make sure we're understanding it all, that I'm understanding it all.
No,
Do you guys need to, do we need to meet prior to the meeting, have a work session prior to the meeting?
oh yeah, because this is 4:30 meeting.
Yeah.
Are you good, guys, with what we have now, or do you want to discuss it one more time prior to the 911, before the 4:30?
I don't know. Probably wouldn't hurt if we come in like a half hour early or something and whatever, but that's entirely up to you all.
I would just need, if you guys had any adjustments, I would need time to run back up to the office, make those adjustments and bring them back.
Okay.
What time is this?
Can you make the adjustments from today and go ahead and get it emailed out to us that we can look it over?
Make the adjustments for today, yes.
What long is Carly using this room till?
Half hour. It don't take long. She just comes in here and sits and waits to see if there's any public comes in and.
Oh, okay.
Well, I can make these adjustments and send the information to you all, and then we can decide if we need a work session.
Yeah,
We could have it easy at 3:00.
I'm good with that.
Okay, yeah, that'd be,
Because technically it's not posted, so. Oh, lordy.
I'm still good coming in at 4:30, but only half hour. Either way, I'm good.
I say you have to be here 4:30.
I mean, 4:00. 4:00, I'm good.
Okay.
yeah, I'm good.
All right.
We'll make these adjustments. Oh, no, wait a minute. Luke just handed this to me before the meeting. This is for 408.
To be clear, I just got that in the mail today. I know you all think I make these things up, that they just come the day of the meetings, but everything waits until then.
Okay, under 408 in expenditures, we budgeted 34,000. The state just sent this and said their estimation would be $43,118.73. So we should probably up that to 43,200.
So there's another $9,000.
408.
But once I make those adjustments with Eileen and Luke's salaries,
No, I
All
don't.
expenditures.
How much is it up?
43,200.
43.2.
Yeah, $9,200. However, they are very slow at getting us invoices. We just paid October, November, December. No, oh, 23. Maybe we can just do all December. Okay, maybe we're not as far behind as I thought.
So, let me ask you this, it does, but might not, but so the contingency that we have for the building project probably won't be done until July or August, then the loan goes into a full effect. How much contingency is there now, and would that carry over after that's all finalized?
So the contingency we have remaining is in the loan.
Okay,
Yeah, and I'd be happy, we can look at that after,
but no,
for no reason other than, like, you don't want your general contractor to know what your remaining
right.
contingency is.
there you go.
But I can definitely give you after this meeting and I can go over all those numbers with you.
Which I know it's only like $50 left in contingency or something like that.
So if we don't spend it, I mean,
We wouldn't have to draw it down, but
Okay.
I'll have to look to see.
Okay,
The invoicing here at the end is going to be extremely confusing, because like. The change order for the judges suite, we have $68,000 in grant funds to pay for that. But it's gonna go into a standard pay app, so there's like. Some things I have to figure out how to do it, cause it's not just the standard. Cause like, I think a portion of it, it'll probably be, I don't draw it down from the bank and we cut 2 checks to pay a single pay app. But there's a couple of weird things like that as we get to the end, I'm gonna have to figure out. So, but we can look at those lot numbers just as soon as we.
Alright. I make a motion, we accept this new budget proposal that we put together, something along that line.
I'll say.
I'll second.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.